All right, well, it's been some time since I've posted a video, but I thought I'd just kind of wait, not only because I was busy, but also because I just wanted to find something that I think you would find really interesting to learn, something very powerful and easy to perform. And this is one of those tricks, and it's impromptu, which is a bonus. So, yeah, so you can have the spectator just shuffle a deck of borrowed cards, and like I said, it's impromptu, so uh, give the deck a good shuffle. And what we're going to do is have the spectator just think of any card. Any card. You might want to suggest to just, think of cards that aren't so common, like aces or sevens. Seven seems to be a common value, but just any other card value or card. And no jokers, of course. Jokers won't work. So, yeah, let's say they're thinking of, I don't know, the six of spades. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to play like I'm deciphering what they're thinking of, not only the card they're thinking of, but where it's actually located right now in the deck. So in this example, we'll say the six of spades, and I come up with this number 142,857 for this example. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this number by the value of the card they're thinking of. Now, if their value, you ask them this, if their value is an 8 or higher, they need to subtract 7 from that value so we get a new number, and we'll use that number to multiply this number because we don't want it too high. But still remember the original card you're thinking of because we need to know exactly where it is in the deck. Okay, so if they were thinking of a jack being a value of 11, they would subtract 7 from that to give them 4, and we'd use 4 to multiply with this number. But they'd remember their original card, the jack of diamonds maybe, so we can find it in the deck. But in this case, we're thinking of the six of spades. Okay, so we'll go with the six of spades. We'll use 6 to multiply with this number. And before we actually multiply it, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the deck one card at a time. And you as a performer are not going to look at the cards. You're just going to display the cards one at a time to the spectator, just like so, and ask them to stop you when they see their thought of card. Okay, so we'll go through one at a time, and they're going to look for their six of spades. Again, you're not looking at the cards. You're just showing them like this. All right, so as soon as they see their card, tell them to stop you at their card. Okay, so we'll go through. They're looking for their six of spades. Hopefully we find it fairly soon here so we don't use up too much video time. So here we go. Where's our six of spades? I guess I could use any one of these other cards, but we're going to commit to that card because that's what we originally came up with. So just for the sake of showing this effect, what do we have? No six of spades? That'd be amazing. Okay, wow, this is way at the end of the deck. What's going on here? Six of spades, where are you? Oh, there we are, finally, right at the end. Holy cow. Okay, anyways, so we'll put that card aside. Now, we can put it face down. It doesn't really matter if you see it actually or not. You could have it face up. Come to their card. Finally found their card. Now, what we're going to do with the cards leading up to their thought of card to represent the location of the card is we're going to deal 6 piles. Okay, just like so. It's kind of unfortunate that the card ended up at the end of the deck for this example, because now I got a lot to deal here, but it'll at least give you an idea of what could possibly happen. So anyways, we'll deal through. Okay, so we arrive at these cards. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to have the spectator multiply their number to this number we came up with in the beginning before I even knew what their card was or where it was located in the deck. So let's multiply their value. 6 times 7 is 42, 34, 48, 51, 12, 17, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8. So, okay, so we get this new number, 857,142. So 857,142. Okay. Now, how does that work out with this? Well, okay, well, here, let's just gather up these top cards, and I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to gather up all the 6 top cards of these piles that led up to this thought of card. We'll have right here. Now, wouldn't that not be amazing if this answer represented these top 6 cards. 857,142, representing where their card was in the deck and using their value on the number I came up with before I knew everything. So that's that. That's the trick. That's how powerful it is. And like I say, it's impromptu. There's no setup. Well, there is kind of a setup, but you do this on the fly in the beginning. I didn't show this in this example because it would take a little bit of time. But you can do this impromptu, and I'll show you what I did. So what you're going to need is you can have a spectator shuffle the cards, and what you're going to do is you can find ways, come up with your own ideas. What I would like to do normally is just play like I'm going to try to decipher the card they're thinking of at first. So I'll go through their shuffle deck. And what I'm going to do is set up 6 cards at the top of the deck, and they're in this order. So you start with an ace, you go 1 for ace, and I set it aside, and I just kind of go through and I look for a 4. So there's a 4, and I just kind of casually play like I'm looking through cards, but I'm actually setting up 6 cards on top of the deck, and these are the 6 cards. 1, 4, I'll put this in the description box too. 1, 4, 2, 8, and I'm just kind of going through like I'm looking for a card. 5, no, that's not the card. The card they're thinking of, 7. So I got all the cards I want, and I play like, okay, I'm a little stumped, but that's okay. We'll give this just one more shuffle. And of course, you're going to be careful not to shuffle the top 6 cards you set up on the top. Okay, so they could be any of the 6 values, but they got to go, from bottom to top. 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7. So the 7 being on top, okay? Just like that. So that's your setup. So now they think you just look for a card and, you've reshuffled the deck. Of course, careful to leave the 6 cards alone. And now you're ready for the trick. Now, so what you're going to do is have them think of a card. Mention not to think of 7s. Just say, because they're quite common. They really are quite common, so it's believable that most people will think of 7s. And it just eliminates the sort of inconvenience of when you say if their card is 8 or higher to subtract 7, because if they're thinking of 7, that value isn't going to work for this, because what you need is actually a random number 1 through 6 to work. That's it. So if they're thinking of any other card like a 9 and you subtract 7, that'll give you a 2. If you think of a 7, you can't subtract 7 from 7, of course, that'll give you nothing, and then you can't work with that. But you can't use 7 either, so I just suggest not to think of 7s. It just makes it easy that way. But by subtracting 7 to high cards, 8 or higher, it guarantees that you're going to have a number 1 through 6, okay? Like, of course, king would be the highest. 13 minus 7 would give you 6, all right? Now, of course, any card lower than 7, that works too, because that's 1 through 6, all right? So it just gives a feel that they're using a random card all ace through 13, even though it's really just narrowed down to 1 through 6, which is still amazing in itself anyways. So whatever number they decide, let's just say their card is a 4 of spades, okay? Or their card could have been a jack of spades or a jack of hearts, and they subtracted 7 because it was a higher card, 8 or higher. That gave them a 4, okay? So regardless. So let's just multiply 4 to this number. So that gives us, 28, 20, 22, 32, 33, 34. Oh, by the way, of course, you're always going to use this number, 142,857. That's your number you come up with always, okay? So just making that clear. So anyways, we're going to multiply 4 to this number. What did we get? 32. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's 16, 17. And 5. So we get 571,428. And if you notice, these answers are always the same number, just in a different cyclical order, you see? So I just sort of take the pen and just sort of cover that number so that they don't really sort of notice that. Not that it's a big deal, but I just kind of like to cover it so it doesn't look too suspicious, but not that it really matters. So now we look for our card, let's say the 4 of spades in this case. Or it might have been the jack of spades using the 4, or jack of hearts, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But okay, the 4 of spades. Now, in this case, if it's this close to the top, you're going to have to say, okay, we're going to have to change a card. Let's make it a different 4, because it's too close to the like if they stop you here because it was 4 of spades, they'll say, well, I'm sorry, we can't go that close to the end of the deck. It's got to be deeper. So let's just change your 4 to another suit. Okay, so that's fine. So let's say the 4 of diamonds. So we keep going and we look for the 4 of diamonds. Okay, so they get to choose whatever suit, so it's still amazing in itself. You know, we kind of hope that that doesn't happen when you get to the end of the deck, but that's what you could do to avoid that situation, is just have them change the suit. And then we'll look for the 4 of diamonds. Okay, there's the 4 of diamonds. Because you have to have at least 6 cards on the table for this to work, at least. Okay, it's got to be, or 7 or more. Okay, so we come to the 4 of diamonds, we set that aside. And now when you deal the cards, you'll notice those cards that you set up at the beginning, they're actually at the bottom. And what happens is when you deal 6 piles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, when you deal 6 piles, the bottom set up cards will end up on top of the piles. Now this is where it's really important that you remember where the last card is dealt, because where the last card is dealt is going to be the 7, okay? And it ends up on this first pile. So wherever this 7 ends up, you want to remember that, because you're going to actually work out how you're going to pick up the cards. And this is important to get the order, okay? So what you're simply going to do is, whatever their answer is, you're going to need this last digit, 8, to pick up first. Now to work that out is quite easy. Just look at the answer, or the original number if you memorized it, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But start with 7 and count the opposite way that you've dealt it, okay? Starting with 7. You don't go this way, you go backwards. So you go 7, and then you look at 7 here, or here, it doesn't really matter. You could use this main number. I just count backwards and I go 7, and then the next number is 5, and then the next number is 8. And that's where you want to stop, because that's the last digit of the answer, okay? You could even work this out before they even come up with the answer by simply multiplying the single digit number with this number, multiplying this number, with 7. So in this case, 4 times 7 would be 28. So you'd know the last digit would be 8. If it was a 6, 6 times 7 would be 42. So you know the last digit would be a 2. 3 times 7 would be 21. So you know the last digit would be a 1. So you know what card to pick up first based on multiplying whatever this 1 to 6 number is by 7. Okay, does that make sense? So now you remember that the last card left was 7. Count backwards in this order of this number, 7, 5, 8 in this case. You stop at 8 because that's the last digit of this answer, or based on multiplying 4. So you pick up this card first, the 8, and you keep going backwards till you pick up all 6 cards, 3, 4, 5, and back here for the 6th card. And now you're set up. Just do that casually, like you're just kind of nonchalantly just picking up the cards. You're not making it look like you're trying to figure out what to pick up first, okay? That's where the practice is going to come in. And then you can sort of move these aside, or whatever. You could leave them there and just flip them up. Actually, it's probably even better, come to think of it. Just leave the piles there. And you can just flip the cards one at a time, face up, and show this answer, 571, 428. And there you have it. So yeah, so you can see how you could really play around and personalize this effect to your liking. This is just sort of based on how I'd like to perform it. But yeah, so that's the trick. And I'll leave this number 142857 in the description if you needed to refer to it quickly. And that's all based on multiplying 1 through 6 to this particular number, and it just gives you answers, 6 different answers in a different cycled order. That's all it is. So based on that, with 7, 5, 8, 2, 4, 1, just like that, set on top of the deck, you're ready to perform that effect based on any card they're thinking of, and you're just playing like you just came up with this random 6-digit number based on their card and where it's located, and voila. Okay, so I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching.